path ahead is actually pretty great. One thing I love about this business is that it is omni-channel. We're playing in every channel to some degree, directly or indirectly. Our customers are going to evolve over the course of time, and our trading partners are going to want to reach these customers because they're everywhere. And so
Yeah.
I want to make sure Hiscox can deliver solutions that help all of our partners be really successful. Hi, I'm Mary Boyd. I'm the CEO of Hiscox USA, and this is the future of insurance.
Mary, I really appreciate getting some time with you. I've lucked out and had time with you over the years, but never in your current capacity as CEO of Hiscox USA. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Nice to see you again.
I'd love for you to share just a quick, for those who don't know Hiscox in the US, what's the company's position and what's the offer, and then a little bit about you as well for background.
Sure, my pleasure. So, Hiscox in the US. Hiscox started in the US back in 2006. Hiscox as a company is one of the longest standing London box companies that exist. We actually have the longest running London box. We're 124 years old, but in the US, we started in 2006 with a broker business. And then in 2010, really changed the small commercial business by offering online binding and like quoting and binding, and then expanded that to digital partnerships, redefining simple really in the business. And then over the course of the past basically 20 years has expanded our business to just about $1 billion. And that has been across all three channels. So we're an omni-channel business, like core direct through digital partnerships, and also in the traded space where we write business through wholesale brokers and agents that write our business in small to middle-sized business.
And for the partnership, what does that usually entail? Who are some of the kinds of partners that you work with?
Sure. So we have almost 200 partners that are in what we call digital partnerships. And that is broken into, probably the easiest way to talk about it is in three categories. There are carriers, insurance carriers, wholesale brokers, and then also e-agents or digital agencies.
Yeah.
And we're actually in 9 of the top 15 insurance carriers today. And when we first began in the digital partnerships channel, that's really where we started,
Yeah.
where a national insurance carrier might sell even their personal insurance policy, and we were right there to cross sell on the commercial insurance. And over the course of time, that might be now that there's a carrier might sell one commercial business policy, and we'll complement with another. So we really are there to really meet the needs of the small business owner.
And small business, commercial lines, what are the lines of business and the product areas that Hiscox competes in today?
Yeah, wonderful question. So that is we sell professional liability, general liability, cyber insurance, and business owners policies.
So the core offering that a lot of folks, if they're people who have started a business and you've needed to get insurance, if you've gone online to look for it, chances are one of those first links.
You know it.
Get it
Yeah,
from Hiscox. Yeah.
that's right. And actually, along those lines, when we've studied this business, it's amazing how many folks just don't have insurance.
Yeah.
And so probably people ask like who our biggest competitor is, and it's actually underinsurance,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate given the risks of not being properly insured.
Yeah.
However, in our DPD, our digital partner business or core direct business, what we've found is about over 60% of the people that buy insurance from us for the new business are buying their insurance for the first time,
Yeah.
which in part is because there's so many new business owners that start. And so they're just going to go out and they're going to buy their insurance. So, which is great.
Yeah.
And we love that they come to us.
Yeah. So I think people who watch the show know I was at Hiscox for a number of years. We had like an independent consultant come to do some work on sort of design thinking around the future of cyber a long time
Mhm.
ago. And she's like, when I got this contract, I realized that's my insurer. And it was because when she went independent, she needed to get coverage, and just,
Mhm.
Hiscox was right there, easy to get and good coverage. And but it's kind of ironic. She didn't really think about like I could end up working with them one day.
This
Um,
happens all the time to me
all the
now.
time. Yeah.
All the time. I was at the Rise Leadership Conference last
Yeah.
week or the week before, and around I was doing a mentoring table, and around the table or just around the conference, I would met so many different individuals that
Yeah.
they might have either had their own consultant business on the side, or they knew someone that already had Hiscox, and they just didn't even think about it. It's pretty interesting.
I am a Hiscox insured. Which
Thank you for
obviously
your
I was
business.
biased, but yeah, I mean, as soon as I needed coverage, I was like, well, obviously I know where I'm going. Um, Mary, you said something that I want to touch on really quickly is the work I've done with startups. A lot of the founders, brilliant people, but you ask them who's your competitor, and sometimes a little bit of hubris or ego kicks in. We don't have any competition. There's nothing like us out there. And I said, well, actually, your competition is nothing. And you hit on that. It's not coverage or not enough coverage or underinsurance or thinking you're covered elsewhere and not
Yeah,
actually getting what you need. And I think a lot of people miss that when they go to market is actually it's not greenfield. You are up against a perception of like, well, I don't need this, or that's not a problem I have to solve for until, sometimes it's a license obligation or a contract obligation that kicks them into like, oh, I need it, or it's a lease obligation for their business space. But I,
yes.
I think that's really critical is recognizing nothing is actually a really powerful competitor because then that's a friction and inertia you have to overcome.
That's right. It absolutely is. It's also a great way of when raising awareness in terms of education for individuals, and where
Yeah.
others become strong advocates. It becomes a really great way to generate new customers.
Yeah.
One of the things that yeah, so and we actually do these studies often every other. We have a new one coming out in August that will commission. So we'll see what the results were, but as of our last study, which we did not just in the US, but across our retail businesses, because we do have a small business focus, not just here in the US, as I'm sure you recall, but also in the UK and in
Yep.
Europe. We looked at an 83% underinsured rate.
Yeah.
It's really quite frightening because when people turn their passion into their profession, it's financial ruin if they make a
Yeah.
mistake, right? We do a lot of professional liability, and that's really what we're here for, is to protect those individuals if they make a mistake. And
Yeah.
so, and just the cost of 2 hours of attorney time is basically your annual premium. And
Yeah.
so it's
If you
such an
get a good deal from
inexpensive
your attorney,
thing.
it is. Yeah. So
Right.
it's usually just 1 hour,
Yeah,
but
it
yeah.
could be just 1
Yeah.
hour, and
Fair
that's
enough.
exactly
Yeah.
right. It's such a small amount
Yeah.
to invest to protect everything that you have and own.
Yeah.
And so, it's to protect your business. So, it's really, it's absolutely something that we're here to make sure we're raising awareness and education around,
Yeah.
for these individuals. Um, yeah.
I
Oh,
wanted to, before I moved on, I did want to just step back for your
yeah,
background for people know, like,
sure.
where are you coming from as you
Mm.
come into this? Well, you've been in this role now for a little while, but moving forward, what's your background?
Sure, sure. Yeah. So I have been in the role just over a year, actually. But I've been in the insurance industry for 30 years plus a little bit. I decided to stop saying more than 30 years. At this point, we'll just let it
It's
be.
yeah, it's a fine number to stop at.
That's fine. And but I started my career. I spent 15 years of my career at Chubb slash Ace. I started my career in an actuarial track, and over the course of time, I'd say some of my key milestones were including like always applying analytics and studying the business of our business has always been core to successfully helping to solve problems, and then
Yeah,
taking those problem solving and integrating it into business operations or implementing IT solutions. And that recipe has been a recipe that has like served my the assignments I've been given over the course of time, or the assignments of the vision I've had over the course of time, come to success most of the time.
yeah,
And so that led to a predictive analytics practice at Chubb. That was my first turnaround in a non-standard auto company where we basically were able to outperform really bigger, much bigger competitors,
yeah,
and create a new diversified marketing channel there. That and also had a small commercial book. Over the course of
yeah,
time, I've actually 15 years of my career before I came to Hiscox, I've managed small commercial auto books most of the time over the course of that time
yeah,
period, um, to actually some pretty good profits,
yeah,
in part because of the personal lines background that I've had because we know that's a very difficult and efficient market, and so
Yeah.
you have to apply the same kind of discipline.
And small business, it often kind of the culture, the nature of the business follows the personality that owns and runs it. And so personal lines and small commercial, micro commercial, often there is a feeling of overlap. There's a sense of the kind of insured on that personal auto is going to be very similar to when they are talking to you as their business. There's like a persona to it that is it's the individual because that's often the only or one of the few people in the business.
That's fair, right? Well, and for them, it is personal, right?
Yeah.
It is their life's work, and insurance is mine, so I can appreciate that. And what you just described in terms of the persona of this insured profile, one of the things that drew me to Hiscox, one of the few things, one, Hiscox is a company I've always respected, and you know why you've worked
Yeah.
here before, and so you and I've talked about that before. It's a wonderful company. The culture of this company is one that really matches my personal views and philosophies on a place to
Yeah.
work. It's business builder, it's low ego, it's supportive of each other, it's let's go, right? And
Yeah.
so that works real well. Um, and the small commercial insurance customer, I have watched whether it's from a personal lines experience when I range from, high net worth, super high net worth to a non-standard auto,
Yeah.
and my peers that work in commercial lines, I've seen this customer get caught in the middle and
Yeah.
not really get well served. And I always felt for these are our neighbors that are putting their livelihood into our communities, right?
Yeah.
35 million small business owners, they represent almost half our GDP. They insure more people than big corporations, and we're not protecting them so that they can be successful. What in the world, right? So I
Yeah.
was like, if I have a chance to apply what I can do to help them do what they can do better
Yeah.
and ensure their progress, I thought that's a good use of my life's work too. So that's where I'm
Yeah.
here.
Purpose.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Um, so Hiscox in the US was the first to go direct in this space, and that got all the
Mhm.
attention. I mean, the number of years in a row that McKinsey put out a piece like Hiscox is the only one. It's going to any minute now, everyone's going to pile in, and that
Yeah.
it never really materialized. And then some of the insurtechs moved into the space,
Yeah.
sort of late 20 teens. And yes, there is activity in this space, but it never became what everyone predicted. And I think Hiscox has maintained a really solid position as this
Yeah.
go-to solution there. And I'm not blowing smoke. I think for anyone in the space, they recognize like that is a major player in this area. What what's the go forward on that though? Like, has the situation changed? How do you think about the next 10 years or whatever it is for Hiscox, given that that's a beautiful legacy and you can't live in legacy forever. So what is the path ahead?
Sure. So I would say that, path ahead is actually pretty great. And one of the other thing I love about this business is that it is omni-channel, right? Because our customers are going to evolve over the course of time, and our trading partners are going to want to reach these customers because they're everywhere. And so
Yeah.
I want to make sure Hiscox can deliver solutions that help all of our partners be really successful. And as I mentioned, even in digital partnerships, we pretty much hit every single kind of trading partner.
Yeah.
Even the way we work with wholesale brokers is sometimes they're extending our capabilities to their retail agent partners, right? So
Yeah.
we're playing in every channel to some degree, directly or indirectly. And what we're seeing, what I saw pretty quickly is digitization is actually expanding across all distribution channels. And that is it's slower, right, than McKinsey thought 16 years ago or
Yeah.
whatever many years ago or 15 years ago. But it is starting to happen. And as because it's required, like speed is important. It's in the efficiency is important. And as the availability of more data and insight to improve the pricing and competitiveness um, of the products and pricing for these customers
Yeah.
increases, it's going to become more like personalized has, right? So it's
Yeah.
going to the availability of product in the retail space is going to get broader. It's going to get more competitive, and that puts pressure on every part of the channel to actually get better at this, and it's
Yeah.
going to get faster. And so I've seen also the appetite of the retail channel widening, and that's why it's made it softer in the wholesale market channel. And so whether it's wholesale or retail, everyone's looking to make sure things are going faster and automated. And so as it's becoming more efficient, everything's going to become a little bit more digitized. It's going to still take time. But
Yeah.
one of the exciting things when I look at our business here at Hiscox is that we will lean into our rights to win and really extend that advantage into all across all of our channels to make sure that we are going to be there for our partners and grow our business. And so we have we understand entrepreneurs at least as well as everybody else.
Yeah.
We're like you said, we define simplicity in this channel, digital capabilities, and we are a product specialist. That is who Hiscox is, up and down and inside out.
Yeah.
And so as we can do that, and we can bring the strength, and I've been building this on my team in terms of the strength of product and pricing sophistication, data and analytics, and the smooth simplicity of strong tools, we will be at the front of our competitors in that way.
Yeah.
And when I think about where we want to do for, we will be America's leading insurer for entrepreneurs and the preferred partner of their advisors. We
Yeah.
really need to be both in order to be the best we can be.
Yeah. I think that second part is important. And that's is not what people tend to focus on, is like focus on the sales side of it. It's like, well, that's fine, but there's a whole ecosystem in support of those small businesses. And if you're not thinking holistically like that, then you're not really going to meet their needs.
I agree.
So Mary, the kind of aspiration or the positioning is great, but how do you do that? How do you actually get to that place where you are that, that best protector, if you will, of the American entrepreneurs out there and serving their partners that they then depend on, and that kind of supporting that whole ecosystem? What does that look like?
So, absolutely. Great question. So, what's interesting is a small business owner is passionate about something and it inspires them to become a business owner. But
Yeah.
what makes them so great at that special thing doesn't necessarily make them great at running a small business. And so, what we strive to do is help them be successful at running that small business. And so, sometimes that's simple, like skills like financial, understanding how to run your finances, or maybe how to market yourself,
Yeah.
or access to services. So because we have the ability to bring a community of small business owners together and providers of services to small business owners, we've created that community and deliver um, clinics, deliver consulting, deliver access to things that are free or discounted so
Yeah.
that we can support that community. And it's called a partnership page. Our Hiscox insurance can get access to. But also sometimes we even have individual and small business owners that are Hiscox insureds that will offer their services to other Hiscox insureds, which is a great way for them to drum up
Yeah.
business, but also is a great way for folks to get those additional strengths and skills to be successful. And that includes like professional coaching or things like that. It's really it's wonderful because one of our goals is to continue to expand our platform, continue to create that community that will just make our folks more successful. It also, when they're better at this, they're also going to be safer insurers, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Fair enough.
better overall situation. And to your second part of your question, how can we be the best partner for their preferred advisors or their
Yeah.
partners? We're going to do that in ways that help them in the business of processing business. But this is also another way because when we're offering the experience that increases brand advocacy or also just offers these additional services, those trusted advisors, they could pick up the same content that we're offering.
Yeah.
And we'd love for them just to use that themselves and say, hey, this is another service I'm going to make sure you can get because you have access to Hiscox. Or just a
Yeah.
reminder, here's something, here's an article or something else you can learn from to help you with your financial literacy. So all
Yeah.
those kind of
It
things we
enriches
think,
their offering.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
enhances their offering. Well put. Well put.
And are you, I mean, the other thing we talked about is a lot of these businesses are under or not insured. If they're not insured, then that's not relevant because they're not accessing, Hiscox coverage yet.
Yes.
But is this also part of that story of helping them get to the right sense of like, what cover do I actually need? And like, is that part of your approach to that, solving that coverage shortfall?
It is, it absolutely is, because when people are thinking about how do they become better prepared,
Yeah.
they're going to think about overall how are they going to be better protected, and that awareness is just going to be make them better, more savvy, right? So if they're whether they're going to need professional liability coverage versus general liability coverage, under what kinds of risks are they exposed to, understanding cyber coverage. Many people don't understand how at risk they are for cyber
Yeah.
coverage, or what can they do to prepare their business to protect against risks, whether that's in property, liability, or things like a cyber attack. And
Yeah.
so all of those kind of things that we can do to help our insureds, will do those, but that will also make them just more aware of the need, not just for assurance, but insurance.
Yeah. You mentioned efficiency. Uh,
Yeah.
I can't have an episode without AI, even just for the SEO juice for people to pick up this episode. But
Yeah.
there is so much focus on AI from an efficiency
Mhm.
standpoint. But you
Right.
talked about product.
Yeah.
Hiscox is an underwriting. I mean, you said start at the box.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Lloyd's in the DNA. Underwriting actually matters. You talked
Mhm.
about pricing and analytics, and I mean, your
Mhm.
background, even
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, efficiency is fine, and I'm sure you're looking at ways to turn
Yeah.
things around faster, but is that really the focus then as you look at AI and other sort of advanced tools? Is how do we how can we be better underwriters and better manufacturers of cover for our insureds through these tools? Or is it really like we've got that, we need to be more efficient, and that's where we're going to focus our efforts?
So you're very insightful and wise about you're correct, right? So we are actually, and not just in the U.S., but one of the use cases it's in the public, so I can certainly talk about this, is Kate Markham in our London markets business has actually partnered with Google to one of our very first use cases, where we're using AI and tools to improve our underwriting and insights, which is a combination of using additional insights
Yeah.
and efficiency together, right? Which it always comes together, right?
Yeah.
Even going back to my early 2000 Chubb days, we were bringing together thousands of different data elements to turn them into a model that allowed us to get insights, but that made us also a bit more efficient, but also way smarter about what we
Yeah.
were looking at. And so now so for sure we will, this is something that everyone will continue to do. I'm not going to talk about I can't project what we're going to do everything in the
Yeah.
future, right? But the complement is it's not just going to be about efficiency. AI is going to apply to every aspect of the value chain in insurance companies,
Yeah.
and whether that's in aggregating and summarizing data, enhancing the way we can do our modeling and provide insights into product, underwriting, ingestion, and identifying trends, whether it's in underwriting, in fraud, customer service summarization, so we can anticipate the needs or just know what just happened when a customer was trying to pull, to engage with a company. That is all of those types of use cases are absolutely within the scope of applicability to what we do. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes to the point you made about right to win is faster is not, that's like table stakes. That's not a right to win. Being a better underwriter, being a better partner to those entrepreneurs, to the partners they rely on, that's a right to win. Being more insightful and protective of those businesses, I think. I'm biased, but that's my take on it. I don't speed to me is like, yeah, you can't be the slowest one out there. You can't be inefficient. You can't waste money, but that's not, you can't be a terrible underwriter who's really fast and does it cheap because you're going to fail.
That's a good way to generate market cycles, not a great
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
outperform them.
And there are some out there competing that way. That's fine. It's not, I'm not interested in that, but yeah,
They can
more
create
power to
waves. I'm
them.
going to shoot through them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um, I'm curious, stepping back from Hiscox a bit, any thoughts you have going forward? Do you think, I mean, even on that point, do you think the industry gets that? Or because I feel like we are very trapped in a how do we get the cost down kind of cycle, especially coming off in 23, 24. Some of the profitability pressures more in personal lines than commercial per
Mhm.
se. But it did spark this like CFO's rules. We gotta just hack as much expense as we can. Do you think the industry is seeing that actually we need to focus on the product itself and the coverage and how we look at risk, or are we still sort of infatuated with just trimming the expenses?
Brian, I can't speak for where other people in the industry are on this one. I'm sure people can see what I was just describing, right? I'm not going to proclaim that I'm the only one that has those line of sight to what we could do. I'm sure people can see that, and but where in any given company's uh, need on their balance sheet, where their other priorities are, and their technology capabilities to do things. It's or whether their business readiness, their technical readiness, or their most urgent priorities and what they where they can get the return on their investment. All of those kind of things are going to influence how their priorities are, despite where they see the value and importance of things. There's difficult trade-offs that everyone has to make. So wouldn't want to judge where they
Mhm.
are, but I appreciate the question for sure.
That's fair. I had to try, right? Um, well, listen, I appreciate the time. It is
Yeah.
personally, it's very exciting for me to see you there and to see the path ahead for Hiscox. Obviously, I've got a soft spot in my heart for the company. It's not just because I care
Mhm.
as an insured, I care as an alumni as well. But congratulations on passing the first year, and it sounds like things are going well. And all the best to you and the rest of the team.
Well, thank you very much, Brian.